easy walk to freedom.
No easy walk to freedom.
Keep on walking, you shall be free.
That's how we're gonna make history.
No easy walk to freedom.
No easy walk to freedom.
Keep on walking, you shall be free.
That's how we're gonna make history.
Brother Martin was walking,
And every step out, liberty.
though he's fallen, come a million behind.
Glory, hallelujah, gonna make it this time. And
No easy walk, freedom. No easy walk to freedom. I'm walking, keep on walking, shall be free. That's how we're gonna make it. In our land not so long ago,
We lived a struggle and that's how we go.
slavery abolished, coming freedom's call.
Keep on walking and apartheid it falls. And no easy walk to freedom.
No easy walk to freedom.
No easy walk to freedom.
Keep on walking.
Keep on walking, you shall be free. That's how we're gonna make history.
So tonight, Bethany and I are together in the shadow of extraordinary and painful events in this country that threaten to take us into a terrible place, very, very terrible place, but also there's the possibility for a recognition and a step forward. And what tonight is about is how we are going to respond to this reality. And I want to begin with this by taking you back to footage that's never been seen. And this was 25. I just received it today, and Samir and I just downloaded it. Let me just make sure Samir is on the line. Please call Samir.
Which one?
They always ask me
Calling
which
now.
one, but there's only one Samir, and he is all Samirs. Okay. Samir, are you on the line? Are you able to make an alteration now? Can you hear me? I do. Thank you.
Since the end of the Vietnam War, America has been left a legacy of cynicism that has proved more dangerous to our democracy than any foreign threat. We must insist that government restore our trust, and we must rededicate ourselves to the democratic process. We must concern ourselves, involve ourselves, educate ourselves about our nation's problems and its possible solutions. We must learn to be activists again. It's a job for young, for old. Yes, and how many dead will it take till we know that too many people have died? Oh, my friend is going, going. The answer is going, going. The answer, my friend.
that was 25 years after this killing of some students by the National Guard. And I'm going to turn so I can address you and Bethany at the same time. And it was unthinkable that soldiers, National Guard soldiers would be doing this, but they did. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just modify something here. So, here. Okay. There we go. All right. Let's see. No, that's not going to help a great deal. Hang on. All right. There we go. I know it's a little dark, but it's okay. So this was unthinkable. And 900 universities, over 900, shut down at that point.
Are you talking about Kent State?
Yes, and that was 60 years ago, just a few weeks ago. But this was 25 years, the 25th anniversary of this event in Kent State. And what did Mary say? I mean, what were we to do? Because we have just seen something that happened when people actually see a murder take place over a period of minutes. This is a traumatic, I mean, the fact that we actually were able to say, I haven't been able to let myself see that footage, but I know that that's what people have been seeing. And we have to say, how do we respond to that? What are the parameters of it? How this is unthinkable that this is our country. It was unthinkable that this was happening in our country then at Kent State. And what did Mary talk about in terms of the continuing struggle? Because it's not over, a year later from 60 years ago. It's not over, at 25 years into it, nor is it now over in any sense 60 years after that happened. And this time it was not a member of the National Guard. It was a killing by a presumed peacemaker. That's what we call the members of our police force. So, I know what I need to do. This always helps it a little bit. No, that's not. Here we go. All right. So, and what did Mary say? We have to strengthen the institutions of our democracy. And that's not easy to do in this time. But that is what we need to do. We need to talk about how we're going to restore democracy, because it is the collapse of the democratic systems, the collapse of the justice system, the collapse that allowed this to happen. And because if the people were engaged in the approach, that would not have occurred. Well, what happened the other day is not. It's not the end of it, and it was not the beginning of it. And Bethany made this extraordinary video that compelled me when I saw it yesterday to say, "This is." I wasn't going to do a broadcast tonight, but I saw it, and it just hit me so hard that I said, we've got to talk about this. So we have a series of songs and videos, and now I want you to see that video and ask yourself, here we are seeing Mary responding to it. What is she telling the students at Kent State when we're there? And how does that relate to our moment and the discussion we're going to have? So, Samir, if you can hear me, can you please go to the next video? It will take him about 20 seconds to actually hear it, unless he's actually hearing, because that's the time that it takes to transition. And rather than, here he is, okay, I can see thank you, Samir. he's going to do it now. Well, I think we'll have another system that doesn't take 20 seconds because it's really doesn't make sense to do that.
Every life matters. No more, no more, no more. Please follow. No more. No more. No more. No more.
No more, no more. We'll never turn back. No more. I found it here. Oh, and he has made me blessed.
Torina vaya na vidala ya vidanya jamaida. Tujele bingoni, tujele bingondo bimaleta. Torina vaya.
Hi everyone. So that was a video that I actually made in 2014 after Tamir Rice and Eric Garner were murdered, and there were so many others that year and every year following. But the murders of Mike Brown and Ferguson, and the Ferguson uprising was happening. And I had just recorded that song with Yakuba Mumuni, who's from Niger, and Bunga Jean-Baptiste and Rufus Cappadocia. Bunga is from Haiti, he's on percussion. But Yakuba is the singer, And that was actually a live recording that we did in France. And in the recording, Yakuba is singing in Peul, which is one of the languages, tribal languages there. He's saying, can you see over there are two birds. There's a black bird and a white bird, and they're right there next to each other. And why can't we be like those birds? Why can't we have peace? And the cry of no more, and just to stop the killing and stop the violence and stop killing black people and brown people and the dehumanization and the racism. It didn't need the current administration, is really bringing to the fore something that is so embedded in our system, in the prison, the pipeline system, just prison pipeline of young black men and Latino men and women of color right into the prison system, where they, are then become laborers and into forced labor situations. And it's part of the fabric of this country. And it is still very much a part of the fabric of this country. And when I saw the video of George Floyd, there's so many things now that are caught on video. This is basically a public murdering of a person that people are watching over and over and over again. That is now, it's not just a story of something that happened, everyone can see. And with Eric Garner, it was the same thing. There was one of the signs in the video that said the whole world watched, we all saw the video. And the police officer was acquitted of all charges. There is a level of impunity and that these police officers, the violent ones, and there is this like racist violence inside of the security forces, our police forces, the dehumanization process that our young men and women go through. It's so disturbing. And, I have friends who are the proverbial good cops, and they have done everything, and they're sickened because they do have a calling to protect and serve. But there is this kind of ego and power and racism, and you can see it in that video so clearly. And just the fury that's been unleashed, and also the responses of people who are so upset by the riots. And, how come people are so upset by a riot? Why aren't you so upset when you're watching a man be murdered? Why are people so upset about, taking a knee, and they're not upset about putting a knee on a man's trachea and crushing his trachea until he dies in plain view of everybody and all the other police officers too? So the rage and the sadness and the fury, and but also the commitment to change. And it's really going to take
Sorry.
that's okay, Appa,
Yeah.
But it's a long walk and it's a long march. And this apartheid system, the apartheid system in South Africa was modeled on the reservation system here. The Native Lives Matter, and the rate at which Native people are shot, incarcerated, killed by police, and police brutality. I think it's even higher than African American population. I mean, there are all of these invisible statistics of the violence that we live in this country, and the way that our own spirits are violated when we see these things that are so the opposite of humanity. It's just tears your heart out. So anyway, I wanted to add the footage and to keep spreading this message of the need to stand up and support the voices on the front lines in Ferguson, the voices now the front lines in Minneapolis and Portland and Atlanta and New York City, and the people on the march. And I remember a lot of that footage was also taken during the Millions March in New York City. And there were 50,000 people who mobilized, and when we could still all march and be together. And now, even in the middle of COVID, You know, what does it matter if there's a disease around that's killing people when people are being shot in plain sight and they're being poisoned and killed and their children are being incarcerated. Our children are being incarcerated at this level. I mean, it's so unthinkable that you just don't care about the harm that comes to yourself anymore, and you're just on the front lines and saying this has to stop. And so this cry of no more, and it must stop, and it must stop now. And blowing in the wind, how many deaths will it take? How many times can someone see this before they actually open their eyes? You know, one of the other signs said, you can always look away, but you can't say that you didn't see it. And I think nobody can say now that they don't see it. And it's the denial that people live in, and the bubble of privilege has to end. So anyway, I'm grateful to my dad for sharing it, and it's hard to watch that video, and it's hard to watch the footage, and it's hard to watch the news. It's hard to see what's being done to black and brown people all over the world, to indigenous people all over the world, to the killing of the native people in Brazil, to the deforestation of the plants, the killing of animals, the killing of our children, the killing of our future. It's like this diseased mind that landed on these shores, started killing the native people, and has never stopped. Started with slavery and has never stopped. Then, our railroad systems were built by convicts and slaves. When slavery ended, they just would arrest black people and put them in jail to work as slaves inside the prison system with trumped up charges. So, all of these systems are still very, very much in place and entrenched, and we've made huge leaps, the civil rights movement and voting rights, but in so many important ways, we're still right there. These are still public lynchings. You can still be lynched while jogging, as a 25-year-old beautiful black boy. You can still be shot in cold blood buying Smarties or Skittles at the store, wearing a hoodie. It's just jogging while black, shopping while black. It's just so sickening, sad, and infuriating. And so this righteous fury of people now that are rising up and tearing this system down. Like the song says, it's really time to tear this system down. But also, what are we going to build in its place, and what is that going to look like? And I think, we have this opportunity now to really, we have the time to really see, to not turn away, to not go back to our daily lives, because our daily lives are now in pause. So what are we going to build, and who are we going to be now that we can't live in denial anymore? There's been this evil denial that's just clouded so many people's vision. And so now people are beginning to see, more people are beginning to see, but we need everyone to see and everyone to stand up, and everything's at stake.
And I'm going to break my COVID thing because I haven't gone near him. Because I needed you to say this. It's different from my saying it, and the fact that you're saying it is so powerful and so extraordinary. I want to point out something, that I saw something that was unimaginable in a documentary. I saw a picture from Syria. It was taken in Syria of children shoulders sawing through a man and killing him, and it took a half an hour. And I was so completely shaken by it, and that how could this happen? And it's in public. Is it in public? And we say these are barbarians. Yes, it is barbaric, and this is barbaric, and we are doing it, and we can see it. And to normalize this, when people say yes, well, why are they rebelling? They're not rioting. They're rebelling. They are responding to something. This is not chaos. This is heartbroken human beings who have seen something happen to their loved one, to their brother, to their sister, that is intolerable. And when that happens, it injures, it's called moral injury. It injures us, so it's hard to breathe, to live appropriately. And that it happens. This is why, instead of calling it PTSD, when soldiers have come back and they've committed horror, why do they take their lives? More soldiers came back from Vietnam, took their own lives through drugs and through suicide, than actually were killed in battle. Why? Because there are certain things that, if they are done and normalized, that it destroys our ability to want to live anymore. And if you see it, it's like Bruno Bettelheim, who was a survivor. We're talking about, and then he, at the end of his life, he's committed suicide. Well, it's more than violence. It's to add to that, we have the violence at the border, where people are forced to go back to their country and be killed, and we know that that's the case, where they are taken by the United States and they are segregated, and the mothers and this, what this does is it destroys the fiber of our hearts. So how do we respond? How do we respond? I want to show you this video. I'm going to text Samir. This was made by our dear friends Beth and George Gage. It has never been shown in public before. This is the first time it will be shown, and we've been waiting to show it for a variety of reasons, but it could not wait any longer. It had to be shown here, because this is what the students in Parkland. We're talking about a place of great privilege in Parkland. But all of a sudden, it happened there. No, not everybody, not the Cuban descendants, to the degree that the non-Cuban, but the Cuban descendants are also, or people who left Cuba under Castro. But there is wealth there. But I am thinking of this. I am a Jew. And I am a member of a very privileged group. I am privileged. I have been very successful, and I am very safe up here. But if this were done in the United States to one of my brothers and sisters, Jewish brothers and sisters, you would not see a riot. You would not see a rebellion. You would see the kind of mobilized fury that you wouldn't imagine. And so we ask ourselves, why are they doing this? Why can't they just, you saw the in New York we have a commissioner of I forget what it is. Mark Green had that post. Public advocate. Who said, I am not all right today. No, you shouldn't be all right. Now, where do you put that? Where do we put this? How do we not close our eyes? Because when we close it, we corrode inside. We have to acknowledge it, but how do we do something with it? I'm going to text Samir and ask him to, please text Samir.
Which of these should I use for Alan?
No, that's not Alan. Please text Samir.
Oh, Samir's.
What do you want to say?
Go for it, my brother.
Here's your message.
Okay, thank you.
It's sent.
Too many words to say. Take my hand, we'll be okay. The children will lead the way. The children will lead the way.
Today and every day, we will continue to fight for those things that are right. We will continue to fight for our lives. We will continue to fight for our dead friends.
Open the door that leads to hope. The whole world needs to know that these lives won't be lost in vain. Oh, our voices will be heard. Our songs will spread the word. Our truth will be the seed that grows the change.
Well, I say one life is worth more than all the guns in America.
I won't give up today. Too many words to say. Take my hand, we'll be okay. The children will lead the way. Rest in power, rest in peace. It's for the fallen that we speak. I won't give up today. Too many words to say. Take my hand, we'll be okay. The children will lead the way. I won't give up today. Too many words to say. Take my hand, we'll be okay. The children will lead the way. The children will lead the way. The children will lead the way.
We are able to be the change that we wish to see in this world. And this is why we march. There's no better time than now to talk about gun control.
My generation, having spent our entire lives seeing mass shooting after mass shooting, has learned that our voices are powerful and our votes matter. We hereby promise to fix the broken system we've been forced into and create a better world for the generations to come.
Fight for your lives before it's someone else's job.
So Bethany and I were two of 12 songwriter activists that went to Parkland, not to write songs, but to help about 35 of these very, very gifted kids write their songs. And this one was one of them. And the video that you see was made, it's an extraordinary video. It's, when it goes public, I think it will have enormous impact because it's about the killing of young people. Then that there are 230,000 students who have been in schools where there has been a school shooting, 230,000. And yet, when we're saying how many times can a man turn his head and pretend that he just doesn't see? How many deaths will it take? How is it possible? And these young people who are affected in this way by moral injury, that is why there are some of them have taken their own lives. These students afterwards, because they can't live with themselves. The way people who have seen what happened in concentration camps, who have seen, where do you put it if you cannot, and when your internal systems collapse, and yet at the same time, it's like Bethany for me. I mean, you know, Bethany, I've known her since she was a child, you know. But I mean, that's the kids. The kids have this. The people who are telling this story. One of those three students that you were hearing singing it is, you know, I can't even tell you. Actually, all three of them. But how this doing this and turning this into this pain and this anger into a creative moment has helped them to reaffirm life, and others. It helps me to reaffirm myself, to become less horrified, to be able to turn like weave me the sunshine, to turn the pain and the horror into acts of commitment and love. And this was true in the civil rights movement too. Now, I can't speak for these kids. I should not. I don't. That's why they're speaking for themselves, because when it comes from, and that's true, it was in the civil rights movement, we, particularly Jews, who, you know, were slaves in Egypt. You know, we've had this long sense of connection here with let my people go. You know, that's the Negro spiritual. And when Israel was in Egypt land, that when we see this killing of these African Americans is the same as the allowing guns to continue to kill our students. It is the same as allowing the laws to violate the families and destroy them. And what we must not turn away from this. We must harness this. Do not say, how do I just heal from this? No, it's not just healing from this. It is transforming this awareness into a mutual commitment. That this is, you know, nobody's got a kind of a privileged place in the place of greatest suffering. You know, I don't want to make those comparisons between the Parkland students and people of color, or the people at the border, or the concentration camps. It is all one thing. We do not make a hierarchy. It is all dehumanizing, and it is not just a matter of America getting out of this currency. It is addressing it as something, as Bethany said, that is endemic to us, and we must do that. And we can do that. And now I want you to see a very brief 1-minute piece by one of the three singers who is so brilliant and so wonderful, Marisol. And I'm going to text Samir. Please text Samir.
What do you want to say?
Okay, we can go to the next video, my brother.
Here's your message.
Okay. All right. And I want you to see these words. And then when we come back, Bethany will speak a bit.
Hi there, my name is Marisol Martinez, and I'm a senior at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. In these strange times we're all living in, it may feel like the world is more divided, more isolated, and alone than ever before. We don't know what the future holds for us, but when we do look onto it, sometimes it seems bleak. But it's important for us to remember that we are not in vacuums. We do not exist alone. We exist within our communities, our societies of people who all care about making the world a better place by the time that rapidly approaching future does come to us.
I believe it's incredibly important for the voices of children who will come of age in that strange new future to be elevated, and for us to elevate the voices of those around us. I'm honored to be part of this call for unity.
Say a few words and I turn it over to you. So that is Marisol, and she is calling for unity. And Marisol was making a presentation before to sing this song and other songs with the people, young women that you saw. And you say, and something happened, a noise went, and it triggered her, and it brought it all back to her, the shooting. And she went up and she spoke about herself before the leaders of the insurance companies, the leaders of the hospitals, the doctors' associations, psychiatric. This is a warrior, a student warrior. And the women today, you don't. That's why I say you can't compare. If you see women with the Pussy Hat March, who have been subjected to humiliation in extraordinary ways, couldn't vote, we're talking about a body of pain that has to be countered by love. As Martin Luther King said, hate will not drive out love. Only love, but hate cannot drive out hate, or violence, killing cannot. It cannot win in any other way. So, Bethany, I wanted you to say just a few words about the songwriting, and then what we're going to is to a whole other arena, which is Native American reality. As a matter of fact, if you could talk about that, and preference in preceding Lila June's video, and then we're going to go to the Arise videos and the Unity concerts, because this is an area that Bethany is very close to. She's spent a lot of years dealing with this, and what they say, what she has said, you say, you see what's going on. We lived with it. We lived this for generations.
Yeah, it's so hard. We live in a system in the United States that's very violent and brutal in so many ways. What happened in Parkland, we're dealing with someone who came into the school to shoot these students, but it wasn't a policeman who came in and started shooting up students he was supposed to protect. It wasn't the system in that way. In Minneapolis, and what's happening is that there is a system, and it's all around. There is white supremacy in this system. There is systemic violence. There's systemic racism. There is a system to keep these people down, to keep black and brown people down and in fear, and to disenfranchise, to not let people vote, to not let people have a voice. There is a racist system, a system of politics in place, an economic system in place, that this country has been built off the backs of black and brown people, and there is no recognition of this on a systemic level. This is the rage that, as I understand it, inside of the rebellion, the riots in the streets, this burning rage. There is nobody to turn to, and there is nobody who will protect. And it's a different just social pressure of existence where you are a target. Every brown boy who walks in the street is a target. There is nowhere that they are safe. The children in Parkland lived through a tragedy, and the children in these school shootings lived through a tragedy, and it's a system of brutalization that we are living in, and violence, and a gun culture.
That's right, a preference of guns to our children's lives. That's systemic.
But the system of oppression and racism on a day-to-day basis that Black and brown people and people of color and indigenous people and Latino people, what they live with on a day-to-day basis, everywhere they look. There is nowhere to run. There is nowhere to hide. So there is anger and fury in a way that there is sadness, despair, and anger on the part of the Parkland kids that the adults have allowed this to happen. But they don't walk around with a target on their back every single day. They are not in this place. It's a different kind of pressure. I'm responding to a comment that someone made about, well, the Parkland students, at least they didn't burn the school down or something. It's not the school's fault in that way, but it is the system's fault, and it is everywhere. And it's the capitalist system's fault, and it's the racist system, and it is the military-industrial complex's fault, and it is our own government's fault, and it is embedded in our own founding words of this nation, and the violence inside of it, and what people are living under, and the structures. So when that is laid bare in that way, it's not just, let's work towards something better. There is a fury that needs an outlet, and it is destructive, but it is also righteous rage. And so that is what I understand that we are seeing.
We have to go to Lila June.
And so we're going anyway. It's an important point, and this is also what Lila is talking about. She was one of the co-organizers of the Unity Concert.
She's in the next video, you'll see.
And her name is Lila June. She is Dene, Navajo, and she also has European descent. And she is talking about the violence and brutalization of indigenous cultures, of Latino people, of Native people all over who live inside of this, who have been told that they are less than human. And it's something that gets inside of your mind, and it's time to decolonize our minds in that way and to come back to a profound sense of self-worth and of value of culture and people and roots. And it's time for, as she says, all nations to rise. And she's talking about oppressed nations, and she's talking about a legacy of genocide that's been perpetrated against different populations. So this is the call right now for these nations, these peoples who have been so oppressed, to find their voice, the support to find their voice, and to rise up to change the system from its root source. And she's an extraordinary woman, and after this video you will see why she's such an amazing woman.
Just go to the next viz, yeah. Okay, I know it's buffering, but Samir is going to Lila June, who wrote this song for Bethany, by the way, and was emerged in a very powerful way at the Unity Concert. So Samir, if you can please go to the video, I'd be appreciative.
Indigenous people, shine your light, we are equal. I remember the days when our prayers were illegal. I remember the days when being Indian was lethal. Yeah, we had a rough past, but get ready for the sequel. Get ready for the glorious comeback of our people. Oh, yeah. Rise up, all you warriors of love, all you answers to the prayers of our ancestors from above. I can feel it in my heart. Can you feel it in your blood? I can hear the seventh fire calling us to wake up, wake up. All nations rise. Rise up, 'cause now's your time. We don't have to hide anymore, 'cause now's the time. All nations rise. Rise up, 'cause now's your time. We don't have to hide anymore, 'cause now's the time. With forgiveness as my bow and my prayers as my arrows, pull 'em back and let go. I watch 'em fly like sparrows. Have hope. Yeah, have hope. With compassion as my shield and faith down to my marrow, I will walk the pollen path even when it gets narrow. Yeah, yeah, I resurrect. Yes, you can bet that we seen the single mama raising children on the res. We seen domestic violence tear apart what we have left. We seen the alcohol take it all and leave us dead. We seen the children take their lives when they can't take the dread anymore. It's a war. Can't take the dread anymore. It's a war. No, we can't take the dread anymore. It's a war. No, we can't take the dread anymore. It's a war, but we've seen it all before. And now we know we can change it, 'cause that's why we were born. We know we are the ones that we have been waiting for. We are the ones Grandma has been praying for. So rise up, all you warriors of love, all you answers to the prayers of our ancestors from above. I can feel it in my heart, can you feel it in your blood? I can hear the seventh fire calling us to wake up. Wake up. Pueblo hermoso, levántense, es nuestro tiempo. No tienes que esconderte más, ahora es nuestro tiempo. Mujer indígena, tú eres tan sagrada. Traigas medicina de tu suelo todavía. A pesar del abuso de tu cuerpo y tu tierra, respetamos tus ancestros y la suya cultura. Hombre indígena, tú eres honorable y yo veo la fuerza que todavía sobrevive. A pesar del abuso de tu raza venerable, yo respeto tus ritos, tus danzas, tus padres. Somos guerreros del amor y guerreros de la paz y no vamos a escondernos más. Somos guerreros del amor y guerreros de la paz y no vamos a escondernos más.
They say that history is written by the victors. But how can there be a victor when the war isn't over? The battle has only just begun, and Creator is sending His very best warriors. And this time, it isn't Indians versus cowboys. No, this time, it is all the beautiful races of humanity together on the same side, and we are fighting to replace our fear with love. And this time, bullets, arrows, and cannonballs won't save us. The only weapons that are useful in this battle are the weapons of truth, faith, and compassion.
Thank you, Samir. By the way, we have to just say that this would not be possible without Samir. He is such a loving heart, because it took a lot of work to put these. You're getting to know, friends, some of the internal realities that have made this generation that has gone from, the Union songs and the Wobblies, to Pete Seeger, to the Weavers, and Peter Palmieri, and now to Bethany, and now to these young people. And you see in this video part of the answer. You see that there is no denial of this hurt, this pain, when she's turned it into a call of standing together and weaving the sunshine through our tears, like one candle, through our tears and our love, and so now we're going to see something that with Bethany that you've seen before if you saw it, but these are precious. These are the constructs visually shared that have a lot to do with what makes these motors run for people like us. We're not students. We haven't lived in fear of going to school every day. We're not parents. By the way, there were no school shootings for a while during this. And what was that? A constant fear of parents. And I think a lot of parents are going to say, no, I don't want my students, I don't want to be afraid that my child is going to die. Because it's not statistically an improbability. Many of the kids felt it was a certainty, and just to feel that inside is a burden on a daily basis that it's inhuman. So, but watch Bethany now translate all of what you're feeling and you're seeing into her prayer, her music, and her commitment. And Samir, please, Samir. Okay. Samir, please, the next video.
Oh, he's doing.
All right. Bethany just typed a.
Sorry.
That's good. That's great.
One falls, we all fall. One falls, we all fall. One falls, we all fall.
We have the potential for developing a political struggle that will, in fact, cement strategic alliances with environmental justice groups, with elected officials who, in fact, understand the dangers that big oil presents to Mother Earth.
There's something huge happening that most people are trying to ignore.
If our system is predicated upon continued violence and rape of the land, then there's no just future for us as a society.
This is a momentous day, and this is not the end of the movement, just the beginning.
This tribe is not the only tribe facing threats from oil companies, mining companies. In fact, we're in a flint moment. But in Indian country, we've had thousands of flints for generations.
We have a natural inclination to want to spiritually liberate ourselves and to connect ourselves with the universe. If there's things in the way of that, then we're going to instinctually work toward creating circumstances where we feel liberated, we feel good. We feel like how you feel when you sing, or when you dance, or when you laugh, or when you're able to disconnect from time, from the clocks, from currency, from your credit cards, from your ID, like at that camp.
Grandma's back! Grandma back! Hey, I was hitchhiking for a ride and it went like this!
So this is a song for Yemanja. She's the queen of the water. The song says Yemanja, Yemanja, the mermaid of the waves, the queen of the sea. Whoever hears the call of Yemanja, the one that makes the fishermen cry. Whoever hears the call of Yemanja will go with her to the bottom and depths.
We owe it to our ancestors to fight to live. And we have answered that challenging spirit that is in each and every one of us. So the linear age of man is over. And it's time for the woman to step up. The circular motion must be put in place. Oh,
You can't learn this in a book. You can only learn it with face-to-face contact and that open heart to say, I give of my day, or I give of my half of my day, or a couple hours. Because when you learn these things, it's a gift to you that you can take home and share with others and share with your loved ones, because it's free. It'd be sad if we all kept these gifts to ourselves and then we died with these gifts and we didn't share them. I know the Creator would be pretty upset that we didn't share those. So yeah, there's a bigger picture that's really missing out of this, and that is getting in touch with who we are as human beings.
I really have a lot to be grateful for. I'm receiving so much love here. I don't know when I'm gonna go home. Just kidding.
We are no longer a camp. We are a community. There are 7,000 people, 7,000 strong. We have an aggressive and ambitious agenda. Egalitarian society. We are universal and we are a pluralistic society, and that encompasses all. We are talking about a voting bloc to get our tribal member into Congress in the state of North Dakota.
Because they know that the era of fossil fuels is coming to an end. The seventh generation is here now. We're ready to take the lead and take the stand and say that enough is enough.
I know what's happening right now is extremely important for the larger picture and what's going on. But I don't know how to make it live other than, everybody who's there has to take a little bit of what's good there and keep that flame lit, keep tending that flame and making sure it never ends.
So, see, here's this counterpoint that we're talking about not hiding our horror, not hiding our outrage. See, to me we must not fail to be outraged, but we cannot respond with hatred. Outrage at something that is horrific that is being done is legitimate. But we're outraged at the act, and we somehow have to find a way to meet out in the fields beyond right and wrong. Just as that song that was written by oh my goodness, I forget, it's Even You by, I'll remember his name. Tom Persetto. So, I know that there are very few people watching. I don't care about that. This isn't perhaps the most important broadcast. And for you who are watching, I will take this and I will edit it down at another point so that it's not taxing for people to go through all of this, because I think they go into overload. But and I think, it's hard to hear this, and it's hard to hear it for us, but it must be said, and we must be here to do it. And fortunately, I am not here to do it alone. I'm here to do it with Bethany, and her voice is now as more representative of what is going on, what needs to be done, because she is in the thick of it in another way, and that's why we say that it is these new energies that have to do it, the women, the children. Now, what I want you to see is something that's really not daunting and horrific, but on the side of the affirmative, let's go get it. So I want you to, I'm going to tell Samir to play the next video, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, this is saying, we're going to do this. Okay, now, please text Samir.
What do you want to say?
Please do the next video, my brother.
Here's your message. Okay, it's sent.
I know. Thank you.
Chana bawa kawani jahu belo yo hey. Chano bawa kawani jahu belo oyate wayo shilayo o tehike lo yo hey hoy. Chano bawa kawani jahu belo oyate wayo shilayo o tehike lo yo hey hoy. Chana bawa kawani jaho belo yo hey. Chana bawa kawani jaho belo oyate wayo shilayo o tehike lo yo hey hoy. Chana bawa kawani jaho belo oyate wayo shilayo o tehike lo yo hey hoy. Chana bawa kawani jaho belo oyate wayo shilayo o tehike lo yo hey hoy.
The Black Hills is the heart of everything that is. It's where our visions were dreamed into the real world.
It was a place, a real peaceful place to hold our ceremonies, just to go there and sit there in peace and pray to Kashla.
And it's a magical place, People described it as one of the most powerful spiritual places on the face of the earth.
And so when I talk about the Black Hills and what it means to me, we've gone there and have Sundance there on that ground for the past 20 years. And in there, I've learned that it's a living, giving, nurturing Earth Mother.
And I believe that idea is so foreign to so many people in this country, and that disconnect that they have to this Mother Earth that gives us this nourishment that we need as a human being. We can feed our physical aspects, but who nourishes our spiritual life? Who nourishes our integrity? Who nourishes our honesty. And this is what we're talking about when we talk about the Black Hills. It's a physical spot, yes, but it's much more than that because it speaks to your soul.
The Black Hills Initiative is an opportunity for people from outside of the Black Hills to come and support in solidarity this effort to return the government land, not privately owned land, but government owned land that should be returned to the Lakota people because of the 1868 treaty.
Because in the first words of the 1868 treaty, it says that the nation pledges its honor to uphold the articles and the contents of this treaty. Well, that hasn't happened since 1868 to the present day.
It's been going on for 140 years, they say, and it's time to come to an end now and get the Black Hills back.
The way we can do that is to gather at the Black Hills and with our music and our word and our passion say, please forgive us for what we have done.
And that is what I'm hoping that we will be able to do if we put music out there, and instead of rasping voices or shouting voices, but a beautiful, melodious approach to an issue that has far plagued this country and its development as a humane society.
We have the opportunity to make this next step, and I have the intuitive feeling, being a veteran of these past experiences, that what we're doing in the Black Hills and your participation can precipitate this next leap.
Because it's possible in this country. There are a lot of beautiful people in this country. We just need to give them a voice, and that's who we're trying to focus, so that if good people can get mobilized, good things can occur.
And when we do that, we will say not only do we want forgiveness because we ask for it, but because we are going to show with our hearts, with real sincerity and integrity, that we are willing to do what is needed to help heal the generations of trauma that have been done to people who have been living with a fragmented sense of their own history and with a real genocidal effort that has been perpetrated against us, by our forebears.
Let's do something good. Let's do something positive. Let's right a wrong that happened to our people. And our people have suffered for it ever since, and we're still suffering.
His Holiness the Dalai Lama said, there's prayer, yes, there's definitely all the time spirit prayer, but you have to do the action.
Starting with a concert and support and beautiful music, what better way to start an effort like that?
Unity concert now.
So it was really wonderful to see that. I wasn't expecting that, Alpha. That was a concert that we put together. It was a 4-year cycle. In Lakota territory, when you put something down that's really holy, you do it 4 times for the 4 directions and the 4 colors. So we convened 4 years in a row. And that song, All Nations Rise, was written by Lila June for the Unity concert. I actually asked her to write. I said, Lila, we need a song. So she wrote that song. And but I think it was the beginning, the Unity concert, it was right before the really big climate march in New York City, where there were 400,000 people marching in the street, the first really huge climate march. And so the prayer, on what we were working on at that point was to really bridge these movements. The native rights movement, the environmental movement, they hadn't really come together yet. There was not a leadership of the environmental movement, of the Honor the Earth movement, on the national stage by the indigenous leaders, by the original keepers of balance of the earth. I remember my dear sister, who's actually in the No More video. There's a picture of her with marching with Cornel West. But she was one of the leaders of the Black Lives Matter movement in Cleveland.
It was Waltrina, right?
Yeah, Waltrina Middleton. After Tamir Rice was murdered. And so at the same time as the Black Lives Matter movement was really finding its power and voice on a national, international stage, it was the first time I know that there had been connections between the Black Lives Matter and the Native Lives Matter. And there were instances of Native folks who had been murdered by the cops in the same way, for having sweetgrass in their hand. That the cops said, oh, that was a weapon, and then they killed, And these hadn't really started to, there wasn't an awareness around the Native indigenous reality in the United States and the genocide and the continued genocide. It's funny, I'll go to temples sometimes and I'll talk about this country and I'll talk about the genocide that continues, and people get upset and offended because there's this discussion in Israel, in Palestine, and to call what's happening a genocide. But I'm actually talking about here. I'm talking about in our own country. This is a genocide that hasn't ended. And it's a trail of tears that still continues. And instead of smallpox blankets, there's PCBs and uranium mining and poisoning water systems and waterways, and it just hasn't stopped. So the Unity Concert brought that forward in terms of issues, in terms of the basic disrespect of treaties and obligations, and of the humanity of the original people of this land. And also of the importance of returning sacred sites, which I've talked about. But the Black Hills is literally called the heart. It's the heart of everything that is. So it's literally the heart of our nation. And the Lakota, Nakota, and Dakota people are the keepers of that heart. And so the heart of our nation is kind of been ripped away from the caretakers who take care of that sacred, holy place. And it is time, really, in a very broad way, to go back to these original sins, to go back to where these wrongs have taken place. And we do have the power to right them, as Teresa Tubal says, to really make something good happen, and to say we are not going to live under that system anymore. We are choosing a new way, because all of those things still stand, and they are all in our power to really do something about. So this Black Hills Unity Concert opened up a whole family, a community of musicians, of activists, and it brought together all of these different movements, as Lila says, standing up in one voice for our children, for the 7 generations to come, for our Mother Earth, and for the survival, to understand that we all now share this mission of the survival of our collective children, and we are all responsible for each other in this way. So it is time to join our voices, and the unity is the prayer, and coming together is the way we will get through. The division will only cause destruction and mass devastation on this planet. So it is time to stand in unity together.
Right, and now we're going to switch modes. This is, I want to ask Samir to make a change, to go to lift us up at the Unity Concert, which skips the next one. So I'm going to tell him to do that. Please text Samir.
What do you want to say?
Please go to the Lift Us Up from the Unity concert, which is skipping one, my brother. Thank you.
Here's your message. Ready to send it?
I am. Yes.
Okay, it's sent.
Okay. Samir. So what we're moving into is manifestations of this resilience that we have to, and we do this. Music is very important in terms of doing this, and its absence on the in the American culture, in the sense that it existed in the 1960s and the 1970s, is depriving us of the kind of a place to put our hearts together and to turn this this pain and animosity into a positive spirit. And
from that video you just showed, literally, those were the peace poets, and we went straight from there right to Standing Rock. I mean, that was
that's
kind
right.
of
And
the
then,
prequel to.
and then two of those peace poets that you saw speaking came to Parkland. So you see, there's a continuity here. I want you to see a very brief video now of this of Bethany taking this song to a concert festival, which was, it's called the Arise Festival, but it was not a matter of entertaining people. This was a section where there was literalized on stage this sense of building community and using music to affirm unanimity. You're not going to believe that it's very brief, but look at the people who are on there. One of them is the bass player for Beyonce, and one of them is this Indian who is what is his name? Superman.
He's Crow.
Yeah, it's Crow. So Samir. So here it is. Okay. Please go to the next video, the one with Lift Us Up at the Arise Festival. Thank you. Okay, this one here is going to do that. So thank you for hanging in with us this long. There's more to come, and I certainly understand. We will replay this other times, even though they are accessible to others all the time. But I think what's going to be meaningful is to make an edited version of this, so it's condensed into an hour, and then present it so that it can be digested more easily. The one we're going to do now is Lift Us Up, but a very different version of it. You're seeing how these migrate, these pieces of music and this intention. This was from the Symphony Hall, where Bethany had done the video on this, which I have not shown you because, well, we just had to make some choices, but I felt that it should be a woman making the statement. It was at the time of the 2016 election, and this was a benefit for Operation Respect, and we had Bob DeCormier, who this was, I think, the last concert that he conducted. He was 94 at the time, and he came in. Noel, Paul Stuckey, and I performed, but I brought Bethany. This was my solo piece on time, and Bob DeCormier, this was the last arrangement. He did all the arrangements for Peter, Paul, and Mary's orchestrations for the concerts we did at Carnegie Hall with the New York Choral Society, that were benefits that sustained them. And this was a choral arrangement. He heard the song. He said, "Yeah, I want to do that." And at the age of 94, he did it. He came down, and you're going to hear and they're all students, players. A couple of adults that were joined them, but they're from my high school of music and art, now that is combined with performing arts, and they came, and some from the Manus School of Music, and the chorus was we had about 20 members of the New York City Choral Society, which was the place where Peter Palmieri did all those benefits. So if you can play that now, Samir. Excuse me. Samir, please.
Which Samir?
I'm gonna have
Here's
to
the
change
contact info for Samir.
Next video, please, Samir. That's the New York Choral Society, Symphony Space, Lift Us Up. Thanks. New York Choral Society. It's not in that list.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Now, I have an unorthodox surprise. I've written a new song, and this song I recorded and then made a video of it using a number of people from the New York Choral Society and Bill Riley's students. Bill is an extraordinary teacher of voice and shaper of voice. Has worked with everybody from Pete Seeger to President Clinton to other Metropolitan Opera singers. He has a very narrow range. Pretty much half of these singers were his students, and then half of them were people who on a moment's notice and one day came to sing it. This is not a tear down anybody song. This is a call to our hearts that says we need to lift up each other. I wrote this song and I played it for Robert de Cormier. And I said, would you write an arrangement for a choral arrangement? And he said he would, which is a great honor, because for him to drop the other stuff that he's doing and go do it is remarkable. So we're going to sing that arrangement. I had to let him know we were going to do it, but I want somebody to go get him so he hears it. He's here, okay. There's another surprise that I have. And that somebody is the person who sings the lead on this song. And why does she sing the lead on this song? Because it's time for us to let the women lead. This is not a partisan statement, unless you need it to be. Please welcome to the stage my daughter, Bethany Yara. All right, my daughter. Okay. So we're going to consider this a rehearsal because we haven't really done it very much. Will you stand up to sing it, my friends? Okay. Now I'm going to sing the first round, and then Bethany will join me. And then we'll see where it goes. I dedicate this song to our dear and beloved friend, Robert de Cormier. Lift us up, take our stand, let love triumph lift us up. Lift us strong. My daughter Bethany Allen. So, a lot of history shared tonight. I know that there aren't a lot of people seeing it, but there will be. But this was the night we had to do this, because this is the moment. As Margaret Mead says, Gail Sheehy, who started with her, said, when it's the moment is happening, you must go there and live it. So we have done that tonight. We have two other things, but Bethany has to leave. And these are, it's not that she's not a part of these. You will see her in this, in these next, the next sequence after this one. But I'm going to allow her to bid her farewell and say her last message to you about resilience and turning and courage and not backing off of what you see. That is not winning, but moving forward.
We are moving forward. And I just want to say, thank you everyone for watching and for opening your hearts and for opening your minds. And that these are the conversations that we all need to be having. There are really different ways of walking through the world right now. And so because I do so much work, alliance work with different Native communities, there's, a lot of talk about decolonizing our minds, our actions, the way we see the world, our understanding of education. What does it mean to have your mind colonized, and to not value, or to have learned not to value things that have intrinsic wealth and power inside of them, and to kind of get onto this crazy, climb this ladder of success and the hamster wheel that is really just a model of extraction. of extraction of wealth, extraction of human resources, extraction of energy, extraction of the ground, extraction of life itself. And that we're all so caught up in this machinery of, we need this television, we need this travel, we need all of these things, we need the newest iPhone. But there are very real consequences that our kind of insatiable desires have led us to. And some of this is the, killing, enslavement of people that we can't see, out of sight, out of mind. So we grab the new iPhone and don't think about the destruction. We need that new car, so we don't think about the destruction that's happening in the tar sands. We need our cheap clothes. We go to Walmart and there's prison laborers who are making the clothing, or their child, sweatshops. So just to really understand the consequences of our actions, the consequences of our blindnesses, and to really commit to learning, and to that continual process of opening our hearts and our minds, decolonizing our minds, our hearts, our relationships to each other. And this is, as hard as COVID has been, with 100,000 people now dead and more, we are inside of a monster of our own making. And it's time to really sit with ourselves and where that responsibility is in each one of us, where the racism lives in each one of us, where the disregard lives in each one of us. And it is our duty not just to heal one person in the world, but to heal ourselves, and to really try and find the way through so that we truly can understand with compassion and empathy, and stand in unity in that way, and learn. And so thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you for,
I have to
being
say,
a part of it.
I was just thinking about this. If I was sitting here alone doing this without Bethany, without you, sweetheart, it would be, I'd feel so much more alone and so much more beleaguered, but I see through you and in your words and in the non-spoken aspects of what you're saying, the evolution of what I've experienced and learned as I become your student, I'm a lucky guy. So let's bid farewell to Bethany, and I have 2 more videos to show you. And thank you, sweetheart.
I love you,
I love you, sweetheart. Okay.
I love you, everybody. Thank you so much for
Right.
spending the night with us.
Yeah. So the next thing that I'm going to show you is something that goes right to the heart of.
Do you want to keep that here?
Yeah, thank you. Of taking responsibility for changing the laws, and it's if we're going to just do this at the grassroots, it's one thing, but it is also possible and important to consider the possibility of what it means. Here is a statement by somebody who's a member of Congress. He has an hour if he wants. He doesn't take the hour. We've cut it down to about, I think, 17 minutes. It's Congressman John Garamendi. And he was one of the people that was on the board of directors. And well, he was in the legislature in California, and then he was head of. If Gore had won the election, he would have been Secretary of the Interior. He is a hero of the Peace Corps. He and Chick Dambach went to Eritrea and Ethiopia. Chick was once the executive director, CEO of Operation Respect. and which was the educational initiative that I've spoken about, and you'll hear about shortly. So here he is, and out of this song, out of this speech came a song, which I will sing to you after you've seen it. And now we're traveling to the idea of what it means to build the kind of strength of unity and resilience to take it into the halls of justice. So I'm going to tell Samir that let me see if it's the right one. It's in video list 3. That's right, go to video list 3. Not, I can do it myself. Video list 3. I have to do it. It's not, no, not this. Video list 3. And Samir, can you do video list 3, please? Please call Samir. There you go.
Which one?
Okay, now we have it. Now it's...
I thought so.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today's a different subject than I usually pick up in the course of these special order hours. Today, normally we come down here and we talk about how we're going to create jobs, how we're going to make better opportunities for people through education and making it in America, rebuilding our infrastructure, manufacturing, and the like. But today there's something else on my mind, and it happens to be an issue that I first came across in school, elementary school. On the school grounds of McCallum Hill Elementary School, a 3-room school built in the late 1800s, there were not many kids, but there was always one kid that seemed to be picked on. I'm not exactly sure why that young boy was the one to be picked on, but he was bullied. As years go by, I suspect we forget about those things. But we know that the children are always listening. They're listening on the school grounds to each other, and they're likely to join in bullying and picking on some kid on the grounds. And that happened in McCallum Hill Elementary School many, many years ago. And as our own kids were growing up, my wife would always say, remember, the children are listening. They're listening to what you have to say, and they're going to copy what you say. The year 2000, I was with my wife at a concert here in the Washington area, and Peter, Paul, and Mary were performing that night. And towards the end of the performance, Peter Yarrow said, I have a new song, and I'd like you to pay careful attention to this song. This song's really important to me. And I suppose there's other songs dealing with wars and peace and were equally important. But he highlighted this particular song. And the song was Don't Laugh at Me. Don't call me names. Don't make fun of me because I'm short or tall or wear glasses. After the performance was over, we were invited to go out to dinner with Peter that night. And he said, what'd you think of the song? And I said, it reminded me of my school. Because people were laughing at that kid. He said, I want you to do something. He said, I want you to take this song and make it into a national movement against bullying, to try to teach our young children to stop bullying. I told him I didn't have time for that we were returning to California after the 2000 election. And he said, that doesn't make any sense because California has the same problem. Well, I learned right away you don't say no to Peter Yarrow. And so I began to work with them on a program that became known as Operation Respect. I worked with them for about 3 to 4 years, and then I moved on, and Operation Respect has moved on. It is now found in 22,000 schools across the United States. A simple program, you can find it online. Operation Respect, you can download the song, you can download the text. It's there. 22,000 schools across the United States are trying to help our young children understand what bullying means. Bullying means that 160,000 American children do not go to school each day because they're afraid. They're afraid to endure another day of bullying, verbal, sometimes physical, from their peers. 22% of teenagers in a national study of adolescents reported that they had been bullied or victimized. And the reasons for bullying are many. Usually it's about looks. 55% say it's looks. Body shape, too big, too tall, too fat, too slender, 37%. And race, 16%. Students who experience bullying are at an increased risk of poor adjustment in schools, sleep difficulties, anxiety, depression. And students who engage in the bullying behavior also are at risk for academic problems, substance abuse, violent behavior, later in their adolescence and adulthood. Approximately 30% of young people admit to bullying others in surveys, and 70% of young people say that they have seen bullying in their schools. And I did when I was growing up. And 70% of school staffs say that they see it. 81% of students who identify as LGBT were bullied last year based on their sexual orientation. So what does it mean? Well, it means that certain lives are seriously disrupted, unhappiness, depression in those lives. But it also means violence. Remember Columbine? The perpetrators were frequently harassed by athletes and other students before coming to school, and then they came to school with firearms and explosives, killing 13 and injuring 21. Remember Virginia Tech? Sing-Hee Chu was picked on and bullied by his peers before he killed 32 people in 2007. And in Santa Barbara, California, the shooter wrote a 130-page manifesto about how he had been severely bullied in high school, and he killed 6 and injured 14. There are those that are violent to others and equally violent to themselves. 12-year-old Rebecca Sidwick suffered from cyberbullying. She received messages over social media, and she killed herself. In Montana, an 18-year-old, learning disabilities, committed suicide. Another shot himself in the chest after enduring bullying and hazing from the high school football team. He was pushed into lockers, punched in the head, and he quit the football team after the first week telling his dad, "I'm being picked on at school." In the suicide note he left that night, he shot himself. He blamed bullying The children are listening. They listen to each other. They learn bullying, and they carry it on. Operation Respect attempts to deal with this. And Peter Yarrow's song from Peter, Paul, and Mary, "Don't laugh at me. Don't laugh at me because I'm tall, I'm short, I'm black, I'm white. I'm young, I'm old, I wear glasses. Don't laugh at me." But the children are listening. And across America, what are the children listening to today? What are they listening to today by our leaders? By people who purport to lead the strongest nation in the world. What are they hearing? My daughter's a kindergarten teacher. Her kids come to class, and they're repeating what they hear on television. They're calling each other a desperate person. They're calling each other, he's a desperate person. He's a pathetic person. Kids come to class, and they're repeating what they heard on television. He doesn't even use his last name. He's a sad person. He's gone absolutely crazy. I mean, this guy's a nervous wreck. I've never seen anything like it. They repeat what they've heard on television. So what are our kids learning? What are they learning from people who want to be our national leader? No, they're probably learning that you can say things like, he's the least talented. He's done poorly. He goes away like a little sheep. And maybe our kids are talking to each other, and they're repeating what they've heard on television. You could see the blood coming out of her eyes. She's a bimbo. Look at that face. Would anyone vote for that? Can you imagine that face on the next president? I mean, she's a woman, and I'm supposed to say bad things, but really, come on. Are we serious? The kids are listening, folks. The kids are listening to the national debate. For years, we've known bullying's a problem. We know it. We see it in the classrooms. We see the result of violence. We see the fact of disrespect. We know it leads to shootings. We know it leads to school shootings. We know it leads to suicides. And yet on our national television every night, people that want to lead this nation are bullying each other. They're saying disrespectful things that are personal, that don't have a thing to do with policy. Just as though it was a kindergarten school ground. Now, I watched his little act. He's a desperate guy. He's not presidential material, I can tell you. Doesn't have the demeanor. He's a nervous Nelly. Putting on makeup with a trowel. He was so scared of like a little puppy. That's bullying. That's bullying. And if you were a kindergarten, you'd be at the principal's office. Our kids are listening. So what's the message? That it's okay to bully? It's okay to demean people? What's the message? 160,000 kids stay home from school each day because of bullying. And on national television, they purport to lead this nation. So what are we to do? I guess we're going to have to take programs like Operation Respect and Operation Trevor and other programs that try to help our children understand the result of bullying, what actually happens, not just to the children that engage, that are being bullied, but also to those who engage in bullying. So what are we teaching? What are we teaching our children? And what Pandora's box are we opening across this nation when demeaning each other is the national discourse in how we select the next President of the United States? That it's okay to call your rival names, not about their policies, not about what we're going to do with our national security, but rather what makeup you might be wearing or the nature of one's face. Calling each other unhinged, unstable, a liar. Is this what we've come to? That night, Peter Yarrow sang that song for the first time in concert. Don't laugh at me. Don't call me names. Don't make fun of me. There are consequences. There are consequences. You tear a person down far enough, maybe you'll win an election. But every child across this nation is listening. They're listening. And what are they going to do when they go to school the next day? Well, it's okay. We could call each other names. Can make fun at you. I could laugh at you. After all, it's on television. Had one of those sweet little mustaches. Maybe we got to make sure his pants weren't wet. Maybe he should sue whoever did that face. Did that to his face. Operation Respect. 22,000 schools across this nation trying to impart to our children that we all have value. That whether you're tall or short or fat, whether you're black or white or whatever color, whatever you want to be in life, it's okay. It's okay. You're important. You have value. We're not going to demean each other. We're not going to bully each other. You're important. Whatever you are, whatever you may be, you're important. That's Operation Respect. Trying to teach the young children in 22,000 schools to respect each other, to respect the differences, to understand and to learn that we all share space on this planet. And that each one of us, whatever we may be, whatever we may think about the solution to the world's problems, we have value. And so, tonight I'll go back from this chamber, go back to my home, and I'll turn the TV on, and I will guarantee you that I will find a presidential candidate bullying another candidate, just as though it was a school ground. And I know that the children are watching. And I know that all that Operation Respect is trying to do, that all of the other programs around this nation that are trying to teach our children to respect each other, to not engage in bullying, I know that their work will be erased from the blackboard by tonight's television. After all, it's Super Tuesday. And leading up to Super Tuesday, you and I know what we have heard. And is our nation better for it? I don't think so, because I know that the children are watching. And I know somehow an awful message is going out across this nation that it's okay to demean another person. It's okay to pick on somebody because of their makeup, because of the nature of their face, because they happen to be a woman. I fear the result of all of this. I don't fear the policies. The policies come and go. We debate here on the floor. More military, less military, more education, less education. The environment's good. Climate change is real. Climate change is not. That's legitimate. That's the way America ought to be. But to call a woman a bimbo, to say you peed your pants, what in the world is this all about? It's about our children, it's about our future, and about telling us what it is okay to do. Well, it is not okay, because the children are listening. And thank God we have organizations, Operation Respect and others, that are somehow trying to push back. Push back. We're not going to stop every violent act. At least some kid isn't going to pick up a gun and walk into the school and start blasting away because he has been bullied. I yield back.
Children are listening. Children are listening. If we say something cruel and harsh, they will do the same. The children are listening. The children are listening. If they grow up to be bullies, we'll have ourselves to blame. Miracles can happen even on the darkest day, when we fear that all is lost and that hope is gone astray. Sometimes we drop our weapons when the price we pay is too great, when the damage to the ones we love is greater than our hate. It's time to come together across the dividing line for the children who are suffering with the pain of these our times. It's not just ridicule and taunts and deemed cruelty by their peers. Grown-ups' rage and hate-filled words are ringing in their ears. The children are listening. The children are listening. If we say something cruel and harsh, they're gonna do the same. The children are listening. Our children are listening. If they grow up to be bullies, we'll have ourselves to blame. Bigotry and hatred still hang heavy in the air. They poison children's hearts and minds and leave them in despair. But if we defeat these demons that keep us so far apart, love and true forgiveness can begin to heal our hearts. Well, the healing won't be easy, because the hurt we've caused runs deep. The injury that we have caused, we fear one day we'll reap. But if we stand together and with one voice at last raise our voices in peace and love, this painful time will pass. The children are listening. Our children are listening. If we say something cruel and harsh, they will do the same. Our children are listening. Our children are listening. If If they grow up to be bullies, we'll have ourselves to blame. There's no doubt that increasingly the world has grown unfair, and for some just plain survival takes more than they can bear. But when we attack each other, we play the enemy's game, and we fail to see that across the line the suffering's much the same. We can defeat this enemy if we recognize its face. Let the hatred that divides us finally be erased. Let's finally stand together, and with one voice loud and clear, let our voices of healing be the ones that our children hear. The children are listening. The children are listening. If we say something cruel and harsh, they will do the same. The children are listening. Our children are listening. If they grow up to be bullies, we'll have ourselves to blame. Our children are listening. Our children are listening. If we say something kind and loving, they will do the same. Our children are listening. Our children are listening. If they grow up with respect and love, there'll be no one to blame. So, my friends, so much of what we need to do is educate the hearts, the spirits, the humanity of the next generation. We can do all we can do with those of us who have become persuaded in our value system that's become so skewed and so rejecting of the imperatives of compassion and empathy, so that a black hole of empathy has appeared in our culture and in our country, where it's entertainment to humiliate, where people are fascinated and gravitate to these reality shows in which people are demeaned. Therein lies the pyramid of hate. It starts with, you can't sit next to us, go back to your own country. Those kinds of things that John Garamendi was talking about. And then it builds to bias, to prejudice, to hatred, to hate killing, to war, and to genocide. But that's where it starts. So a lot of what we have to do, looking at the long run, if we want the planet to survive, is to educate the children and let them know what their civic responsibilities are, to know why we have laws, why we have, and let them have the gift of finding the beauty of being there for each other, and the gift of giving, not the gift of taking. Because we know where that leads. We're going to end tonight. First, we're going to end with a video that became a PBS special. When the Newtown massacre occurred, I was called up by several people from there, saying, we need a concert. We've got lots of concerts, but we need a concert of healing, a concert where the community can come together. And we don't, not a benefit. So what I organized was a concert with some of the Newtown folks that I knew. I'd sung with some. And you're going to see this. I knew it was going to be an extraordinary experience. And in the last moment, I spoke to Jim Brown, who was the extraordinary documentary filmmaker, and I said, and he teaches at NYU, and I said, I need, 12 students with cameras, just let them shoot. And out of that, and his direction, came this. And when the first couple of songs were done, one of them sung by an extraordinary singer who lost her son, Ben, age 6, who literally did not want to live anymore, but she summoned from God knows where the ability to sing with Dar Williams, a song that set it for everyone. You're going to see this. It was a PBS special, Jim Brown directing. Extraordinary. And Sol Romano started the editing, and then Jim took it over, and we had wonderful people involved. But it is, I think, the important exposition about why it is not to compare one person's agony with another. We don't. They all are part and parcel of suffering from loss, some suffering from indignity, suffering from the pain of what we, as Bethania says, what we have wrought, what we have caused. And I'm going to sing it, but before that, there's somebody from Australia who's on the line, and I have to tell her something, and then you'll see this. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Carol Nash. Happy birthday to you. You've been on all these moments where we've shared our hearts and dreams. You've been there for Peter, Paul, and Mary. You're a very lovely person, it seems. We love you, and Andy Agawa too. We have Tom Zamgratsky, yes, we love you. We've got such wonderful friends right here. We're thanking you, my dears. Happy birthday, Carol Nash. And now, my friends, I'm going to tell my brother, Samir. I want applause. We've been doing this for, a long time now. We started at 9. It's now 2.5 hours later, and this is another hour. And if you want to, you can see it, but the point is that you can, if you can't see it, you can go back and look at it another time. So let me tell Samir. Please call Samir. Which one?
Which one?
Okay, I'll tell you which one.
Calling now.
Is Bethany not extraordinary? Is my daughter not a force to be reckoned with? Watch this, my friends. I will not see you at the end of it. I'm going to go and have a bite to eat. But this is pretty remarkable. It is a document of great sadness and great resilience and great hope. Let me make sure Samir is... I got my text. Please call Samir. Okay. Samir, are you able to start the next video? It's in video list 3. Thank you. Yeah, thanks. He's... With your face to the wind, I see you smiling again. I see you smiling again. That's what I need to feel. Spirit. Spirit's moving within. I know that you're gonna win. I know that you're gonna win.
I'm Bill Moyers. The Concert for Newtown was a transformative musical event of caring and healing that took place 2 months after the horrific shootings at the Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut. Organized by Peter Yarrow of Peter, Paul, and Mary, the concert included performers Dar Williams, the Flagpole Radio Cafe of Newtown, and Bethany and Rufus. Just as the power of song inspired us during the Civil Rights Movement, this concert has a similar aspiration for people committed to making our schools safe and free of gun violence. In the breaks between songs, you'll hear from Peter Yarrow, the folk singer and activist, and Francine Wheeler, who's also a singer and music teacher. Francine and her husband David lost their son Ben, a first grader, along with 19 other children and 6 educators at Sandy Hook. Francine and her husband are part of Sandy Hook Promise. That's a coalition of family, friends, and neighbors working both to help Newtown recover and to ignite America's conscience, urging all of us to tackle the causes of gun violence. Their motto, our hearts are broken, our spirit is not.
Our hearts are broken. Our spirit is not. And it is with this knowledge that we are able to move forward with purpose and strength. This is a promise to support our own, our families, our neighbors, our teachers, our community, with dedication and love. This is a promise to truly honor the lives lost by turning our tragedy into a moment of transformation.
This is a promise to be open to all possibilities. There is no agenda other than to make our community and our nation a safer, better place. Things must change. This is the time.
This is a promise to do everything in our power to be remembered not as the town filled with grief and victims, but as the place where real change began. Our hearts are broken. Our spirit is not. This is our promise, the Sandy Hook Promise.
Now I want to invite the lovely Francine Wheeler to join me on the stage.
Can you fix this? It's a broken heart. It was fine, but it just fell apart. It was mine, but now I give it to you. 'Cause you can fix it. You know what to do. Let your love cover me like a pair of angel wings. You are my family. You are my family. We stood outside in the summer rain, different people with a common pain. A simple box in that hard red clay. It's where we left him to always remain. Let your love cover me like a pair of angel wings. You are my family. You are my family. And the child who played with the moon and stars waves a snatch of hay in a common barn. In the lonely house of Adam's fall lies a child. It's just a child that's all crying. Let your love cover me like a pair of angel wings. You are my family. You are my family. You are my family. You are my family.
The day after Ben died, I sat down at my piano and sang.
Just
sang, and you know what it was? It was a Dar Williams song.
Right.
It was. It was a Dar Williams song, and I had never met her, and she ultimately was at this concert that I sang with her. So it was like Ben was working through me then to say, look, you're going to get to meet Dar, and you're going to sing Mama.
And the song that the two of you sang together, Family,
Yeah.
was the moment of catharsis for me at the concert. It was astonishing. We all entered each other's hearts and spaces together, and I have, being a singer with others, you know, with Mary and Noel, I know when the voices are more than just technically together. When you guys, you were feeling each other's souls.
Peter and Francine's lives actually came together before the Sandy Hook tragedy. They both sang with the Flagpole Radio Cafe. That's a local group of musicians and actors. In February, Peter was asked to join with them and others in a concert to give the grieving community of Newtown a sense of comfort and solidarity.
We stand on the shoulders of the civil rights movement. When we found out that if we stand together, we can make a change. And now we stand together so that above everything else is our children. So the first thing we do is make sure that they, when they are together in any context, particularly in school, that they love each other, that they're in an environment that nurtures their souls. They're safe, they're valued, and accepted for who they are. This is a wonderful song to sing together to affirm that we are together for the Sandy Hook promise. I'm a little boy with glasses, the one they call a geek. A little girl who never smiles 'cause I got braces on my teeth. And I know how it feels to cry myself to sleep. Yes, I am the kid on every playground. I'm the one that's chosen last. I'm a single teenage mother trying to overcome my past. You don't have to be my friend, but is it too much to ask? Don't laugh at me, don't call me names, don't get your pleasure from my pain. In God's eyes, we're all the same. Someday we'll all have perfect wings. Don't laugh at me. I'm the beggar on the corner. You've passed me on the street. I wouldn't be out here begging if I had enough to eat. And don't think I don't notice that our eyes never meet. Don't laugh at me, don't call me names, don't get your pleasure from my pain. In God's eyes, we're all the same. Someday we'll all have perfect wings. Don't laugh at me. I'm fat, I'm thin, I'm short, I'm tall, I'm deaf, I'm blind, I'm disabled. Who of us is perfect? I'm black, I'm white, and I am brown. I'm Jewish, I'm Christian, I'm Muslim, I'm Buddhist. I'm Hindu, I practice the Native American faith. I'm agnostic. I was born in Sarajevo. I was born in Kosovo. I was born in Northern Ireland. I was born in Africa. I'm Hutu, I'm Tutsi, I'm gay, I'm lesbian. I am American, Indian, I'm very, very young. I'm quite aged. Born in Iraq and Afghanistan, born in the Sudan, Mexico, Canada, the United States of America. I'm Israeli, I am Palestinian. I'm very, very wealthy. I'm very, very poor. Don't laugh at me. Don't laugh at me. Don't call me names. Don't get your pleasure. Don't get your pleasure from my pain. In God's eyes. In God's eyes, we're all the same. Someday we'll all have perfect wings. Don't laugh at me. Please smile at me. Please be my friend. Please accept me the way I am. No one's out. We all are in. Someday we'll all have perfect wings. Don't laugh at me. And together, my country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Don't laugh at me, don't laugh at me. let's say a child is vulnerable and you know they're getting picked on or that they're likely to get picked on. If you care about them rather than disregard their needs, if you include them and love them, because that child who is bullied, picked on, ridiculed, ostracized, that child, more than likely, if they're going to do something injurious to somebody, will do it to themselves. But sometimes they will also strike back in retribution. If we're watching them, along with all the other children, and we make sure that in their education, more than their academics, that we care about the growth of their heart, their goodness, their decency. If we do that in this country, then they are our priority.
The Sandy Hook Promise talks about turning tragedy into a moment of transformation. Was there a moment like that for you after Ben's death, when suddenly you realized there was something you had to do?
Yeah, but it was very gradual for me, because I didn't want to live, okay? And I felt I had to ask myself, how am I going to live? How am I going to get up and raise my other child and be a partner to my husband? How am I going to do that? And it just gradually, organically happened where I said, you know what? I'm going to talk to people. I'm going to tell them about my son. I'm going to tell them what it's like to be a mother. And I'm going to tell them what it's like to find a conversation about change that is love. And I think there's a misconception that Sandy Hook Promise is just about the gun debate. It is not.
One of your mission statements is to help the community heal and help the country heal.
Yes, that's where Peter came in and just took over, just helping us to start to heal, and that's so important.
With your face to the wind, I see you smiling again. Spirits moving within. I know that you're gonna win. You've been down this road before. Something inside tells you what's in store. You gotta remember what we're all here for. You gotta eat up the apple and spit out the core. With your face to the wind, sing. With your face to the wind, I see you smiling again. I see you smiling again. That's what I need to feel, spirit. Spirit's moving within. I know that you're gonna win. I know that you're gonna win. There are gifts that come like the rain. They make the plants grow, but they drench you all the same. There are gifts that took you years to see, like the gift of the friend that you've been to me. There are hands here to comfort you, and if you need, there are tears to cry with you too. There are hearts that will sing with you, and voices to cheer when you finally made it through. With your face to the wind, with your face to the wind, I see you smiling. Spirits moving within. Spirits moving within. I know that you're gonna win. I know that you're gonna win. Jim, do us a little mandolin. With your face to the wind, hear you smiling. I see you smiling again. Yeah. Spirits moving within. I know you're gonna win. I know that you're Sometimes it takes the dark to let us see the light. You can't have that victory unless you fought the fight. Sometimes it takes a winding road to lead us home. While you're winding round, my friends, just don't go winding round alone. With your face to the wind, see you smiling.
I see you smiling again. Spirits moving within.
Know that you're,
I know that you're gonna win.
One more time.
With your face to the wind. I see you smiling again. Spirits moving within. I know that you're gonna win.
Last time.
With your face to the wind. I see you smiling again. Spirits moving within. I know that you're gonna win.
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 I have a dear friend, Aloysius Wieselbeer, and he taught me these Native American prayer songs. When I asked him, "How is it okay if I sing them?" He said, "Bethany, you have to sing them now because our children need them." Ayana, 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 wina, ene. Ayana, 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 wina, ene. Ayana, 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 wina, ene. Ayana, ayana, ayawane, yowane, yoina, ene, yoan. Send your showers of blessings, yowana, huina, ene. Upon our children, yowana, huina, ene. Ayana, ayana, ayawane, yowane, yoina, ene, yoan. Send your showers of blessings, yowana, huina, ene. Upon the next 7 generations, yowana, huina, ene. Ayana, ayana, ayawane, yowane, yoina, ene, yoan. Everyone asked me when I started singing, and I started singing my whole life, but really when I was 8, performing with my dad. And usually we would perform together at benefits or rallies, or and they were always songs that meant a lot. But I have a 6-year-old daughter now, whose favorite song, by the way, is, of course, "We Shall Not Be Moved." And we go to rallies, and so when your children sing with you, or when young people sing with you, and when you know that everything that you have written and loved and cared about, you've actually passed on to your children, the song changes its meaning.
You have asked me why the days fly by so quickly,
and why each one feels no different from the last.
and you say that you are fearful for the future,
and you have grown suspicious of the past.
and you wonder if the dreams we shared together.
Have abandoned us, or we abandoned the bed.
And you cast about and try to find new meaning,
So that you can feel that closeness once again.
Carry on, my sweet survivor. Carry on, my lonely friend.
Don't give up on the dream.
Don't you let it end. Carry on, my sweet survivor. Though you know that someone's gone, for everything that matters, carry on. You remember when you felt each person mattered,
And that we all had to care, or all was lost.
but now you see believers turn to cynics.
And you wonder, was the struggle worth the cost?
And then you see someone too young to know the difference.
When the veil of isolation in their eyes, and
inside you know you've got to leave them something,
for the hope for something better slowly dies.
So carry on, my sweet survivor. Carry on, my lonely friend. Don't give up on the dream. Don't you let it end. Carry on, my sweet survivor.
You've carried it so long, so it may come again. Carry on.
I know that it shall come again, so we'll carry on, we'll carry on.
Because it must come again. Carry on.
Carry on, my friends, together we shall carry on. Carry on.
Carry on.
Carry on.
Brahim for Jane and Rufus Captivation.
I just want to say, I think the Sandy Hook Promise was so beautifully written for all these different kinds of communities. And so in that spirit, I wanted to do the Pete Seeger version of this song. It has a little different ending than the one you might have heard. It's a little bit more collaborative, you know, because really there's so much that I see in these villages and towns where we're all just getting there. We have to get there together.
Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles smell like lemon drops way above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me, somewhere over the rainbow. Bluebirds fly, birds fly over the rainbow. Why can't you and Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles smell like lemon drops way above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me, somewhere over the rainbow. Bluebirds fly, birds fly over the rainbow. Why can't you and I? If happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, why, oh, why can't you and I?
Aren't there some practical, political accomplishments that have to occur for this marvelous vision of reconciliation and healing to take
Well, I think we have. I mean, we had a number of families go to Washington and have, in my opinion, quite wonderful discussions with a lot of people, a lot of senators. What we're talking about is, hey, why don't we find a way to not debate and fight about what you believe guns are and what I believe guns are? Let's come together and figure out a way to make them safer. Why don't we do that? Why don't we take them out of hands of people who shouldn't have them, like background checks, common sense. And you know, we're talking about the bulk of the Americans who believe this.
I wrote this back in October, and it's more true now than ever. It's called My Sweet New England Home. From my front door, you can see for miles across the valley. To the east lies morning skies, smiling on my home. On these old streets, farms and factories, back roads and places there. And on this blue porch, facing true north, I can breathe the morning air. Right there is where I wanna be, in the hills I've roamed. Sweet New England home. See that old tree for centuries, leaning on the fence line, in the fine June sweet New England home. From my front door, you can hear for miles after midnight every rain song, every train gone down the Housatonic line. Right there's where I wanna be when that whistle blows. Right there's the evening falls on my sweet New England. Oh, sweet New England home.
So, Francine, how do you keep anger and grief from overwhelming you?
Well, one way is music. I mean, that concert was very difficult to do, but, and by the way, I was in bed for a couple days after that. It was tough. It was hard. Yeah, no, it was hard. But the music helps me. Prayer, community, my church, my family, my friends, and playing. I'm going to sing in a couple weeks again, you know. I mean, I don't know all the answers. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I take it each day, and today, the answer is music.
This song literally says what the Sandy Hook promise is. It says, weave me the sunshine out of the falling rain. Weave me the hope of a new tomorrow and fill my cup again. And in doing so, we take the hurt, we take the pain, and we turn it somehow magically into more love. They say that the tree of loving shine on me again. They say it grows on the bank of the river of suffering. Shine on me again. So weave me the sunshine out of the falling rain. Weave me the hope of a new tomorrow. Fill my cup again. Weave me the sunshine out of the falling rain. Weave me the hope of new. Weave me the hope of a new tomorrow. Fill my cup again, a little louder now. Weave me the sunshine out of the falling rain. Weave me the hope of a new. Weave me the hope of a new tomorrow. Fill my cup and join me now. Weave me the sunshine out of the falling rain. Weave me the hope of a new tomorrow. Fill my cup one more time now. Weave me the sunshine out of the falling rain. Weave me the hope of a new tomorrow. Fill my cup again. If only I could heal your sorrow, shine on me again. I'd help you to find a new tomorrow, shine on me again. Weave me the sunshine out of the falling rain. Weave me the hope of a new tomorrow, fill my cup the steel and the concrete crumble, shine on me again. The proud and the mighty, they all have stumbled, shine on me again. Weave, weave, weave me the sunshine out of the falling rain. Weave me the hope of a new tomorrow, fill my cup, mandolin solo. The sunshine, the falling rain. Leave me the hope of a new tomorrow, fill my cup again. Only you can climb that mountain, shine on me again. If you want to drink at the golden fountain, you gotta shine, 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 shine on me again. Weave me the sunshine out of the falling rain. Weave me the hope of a new tomorrow, fill my cup at last time. Weave me the sunshine out of the falling rain. Weave me the hope of a new tomorrow, fill my cup once again. We need to build love, and frankly, in the adults, that's a tough thing to do. But when we know that we're doing it with our next generation, by bringing them up in such a way that they are not having to deal with fear of going to school,
right,
with fear of raising their hands in school because they'll be ridiculed if they've got the wrong answer. Mm-hmm. When we know that they can do better than we have done, we're looking at the long process. We can only do so much with adults, but if we concentrate on our kids, giving them a loving environment, I'm telling you something, this Sandy Hook promise is going to be fulfilled. How many roads must a man walk down before they call him a man? Jim, how many seas must a white dove sail?
And how many seas must the white dove sail
before she sleeps?
Before she sleeps in the sand.
How many times must the cannonballs fly?
How many times must the cannonballs fly before they're forever banned?
Sing it to us now, my friend.
The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind.
Once more, the answer, my friend.
The answer, my friend,
blowing in the wind.
is blowing in the wind.
The answer.
The answer is blowing in the wind.
How many years can a mountain exist, Bethany?
How many years can a mountain exist
before it is washed?
before it is washed to the sea?
Barbara, how many years can some people exist?
How many years can some people exist before they're allowed to be free?
Dar, how many times can a man turn his head?
How many times can a man turn his
my friend.
The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind.
Once again, the answer.
The answer, my friend,
blowing in the wind.
is blowing in the wind.
The answer.
The answer is blowing in the wind.
How many times must a man look up, David?
How many times must a man look up
before he can see the sky?
Before he can see the sky.
Francine, how many ears must one man have?
How many ears must one man have before he can hear people cry?
Everybody, how many deaths will it take?
How many deaths will it take till he knows that too many people have died? The answer, my friend,
blowing in the wind,
is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind.
Rufus, a cello solo, please. The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. Once again.
The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind.
And the last time.
The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind.
If people don't have it in their hearts, if we don't believe that we care about each other and we can find common ground and we can reach across the divide, if the conversation is not addressed with humanity and caring, but just always with acrimony and disdain, then we're not going to get there.
We have to find what Martin Luther King says is the love. He always stood up for his beliefs through love. So we have to overcome our differences and come together and do the right thing.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. the world who do not deserve to grow up with the sound of guns and bombs or be frightened. Let us not live in fortresses. Instead, let us learn to love one another. We shall live in